Today we're doing a radar missile BVR fighting style video tutorial. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I figured it's about time I do. Quick thank you to my one and only Patreon member. I love you. Thank you so much for your support. And make sure you watch this one to the end, because the topics are going to get a little bit more complicated as we go through the video. So this video is going to be a little bit more fight oriented. How do you win the BVR missile jousts from 20 kilometers or whatever it may be? And how do you deal with the spam of phoenixes and sparrows? Because despite what a lot of people in the community are saying right now, the R-27ER is just the best radar missile in the game. And contrary to a lot of popular opinion out there, I would say that range is pretty much irrelevant when it comes to what is the best radar missiles. I wouldn't say irrelevant, that's a little bit harsh, but it's certainly secondary to a lot of other factors, mainly acceleration and raw speed. So I hope this video can kind of help you guys change your mind about what to look for as far as importance in a radar missile. And we're going to go ahead and start with a R-27ER versus Phoenix joust. Now, don't pay attention to chat. I was trying to do something else, but we ended up just getting a normal clip anyways out of this to show you that the Phoenix is, unlike all of the SARs, it is an active radar missile, and it is the only missile at top tier that you can reliably just kinetically defeat. Now, what did you see me do in that clip? Well, it's really quite simple. He launches a Phoenix at me, I shoot my 27ER at him. My 27ER gets there before his Phoenix gets to me every single time, so he dies, but it doesn't matter because his missile is active radar homing, so even after he's dead, it is going to continue to track me. So how do I avoid dying to it? Well, for one, I could just simply turn around and go cold, and it wouldn't hit me, it would lose lock. Using chaff while doing this is also going to help a lot, but then my radar missile isn't going to guide to the target, is it? So instead, at about whenever I see it coming, whenever I see the missile diamond, I crank to the left or right, whatever way you want to go, and once it's about 4 or 5 kilometers away, you start diving in a shallow dive and pull in as hard as you can. Here's one more example to try to walk you through what I do here. I shoot my missile. I know that he's got something firing at me right now. Obviously I know what it is because this is a staged clip, and it is in fact a Phoenix, so I see it coming, but just to make it, a little bit more realistic, I pretend I don't see it until it pops up on my screen right there at 9 kilometers. I immediately turn offset to the left or the right, and at about 4 or 5 kilometers, I am going to begin dive and switch direction, and every single time it's going to look exactly like that. It almost hits me, but it doesn't, and you guys can replicate this every single time. When to actually pull in is going to depend on what speed you're at, and I'm not going to tell you when to do it for every single speed possible. You're just going to have to learn with trial and error, but I guarantee you that it will work unless you're just going blisteringly slow and then you're dead anyways. So what about the AIM-7M? Well, the 27ER just has it beat on all fronts really. You can see in an equal joust where we're kind of launching at the exact same time, I am just gonna let my missile get to him before his gets to me. His radar immediately dies and it will stop tracking me as long as I maneuver a little bit. If you continue flying in a straight line, that AIM-7M will try to go to your last known trajectory and it might kill you anyway, so don't just fly in a straight line. Make sure you're moving a little bit. Now you can see his missile technically has more range than the 27ER, and he could technically be shooting from further away from me. We'll cover that a little bit later, but under equal circumstances or even at a slight disadvantage, as you see, I launched that ER way after he shot his 7M at me, and we still managed to trade, where in pretty much any other circumstance with any other missile, I would be dead and he would be alive. So that just goes to show you just how much faster that the 27ER is than the 7M, and that is the biggest advantage you can have in these kinds of fights. Now in this clip, what I'm doing is I am simulating the idea that he gets his missile off way before me. At that point, guys, you simply just don't engage. I'm going to turn 90 degrees, I'm going to chaff his missile by being perpendicular to his radar. I pop a couple of chaff, you see it did not take much to get that missile fooled. I recommit, I'm at closer range now. I have plenty of time. I'm going to actually drop throttle and pop air brake just to make sure that I slow myself down, which allows less rapid closure rate between me and his missile, just to ensure that mine gets there before him, because as long as your missile gets there before his missile, you're going to win the joust every single time. And the R-27ER is absolutely going to get to the target before any of your target's missiles get to you. Once again, he gets his missile off way before me. I haven't even fired at him yet. So I'm going to just simply 90 degrees, chaff, defeat that missile, and commit, shoot my own, and now he's dead. He can launch a missile at any point, whenever he wants. It's not going to matter. My ER is going to get to him way before his gets to me, which means his missiles could be trash. I'm going to show you one more example just to really drive home the point here, and that is that I'm going to be recommitting twice in this fight and still be the one to come out on top. I noticed that I'm getting a lock here. I'm going to look and assess the situation, see if I can see if there's a missile in the air. There is. I'm going to just go ahead and 90 degree right now because his missile has been fired so much sooner than mine is. He will always hit me before I hit him. So I need to trash this missile first, which I do by going 90 degrees and chaffing, and then I go in for a recommit. Unfortunately, the MiG-29's radar is a little bit finicky at times, and I do not get him locked up in time before he goes ahead and gets a second Sparrow off at me. So what am I going to do? The exact same thing I did the first time. I trash that missile, I pull in, and now I have him right where I want him. There's nothing he can do here anymore. My missile's going to hit him every single time because it has better acceleration, better speed, and once again, just to be sure, I decrease throttle and pop the air brake to slow myself down as much as possible, which decreases the closure rate between his missile and me. One of the main things to look at there is the fact that I did not try to stick that first recommit. When I realized that my radar was failing me and I was not going to get my missile off in time, I simply did not stick that head on, because if you stick the head on, that's how you die. If you just ignore it and 90 degree and chaff it, you can just survive and live to fight another day. You could go switch targets, you can maybe go ahead and get a second chance at doing the joust later. You never know, and this is another example of that. I'm trying my hardest to go ahead and get my radar on target so I can launch a missile, but I can't. Luckily, this last missile he gets off here before we merge, he's just too close at that point, and that one doesn't get me either. And so once again, do not just stick head-ons that you're not going to win. If you're not in an advantageous position, as in being able to shoot at the exact same time with your ER, or ideally before they shoot their own missile, then just don't do it. Every once in a while you might run into a player like this that just starts spamming Sparrows at you, and well, you can't do anything about that. But you don't have to die either. I'm going to go ahead and 90 degree. Look at that. That was a 5-kilometer Sparrow launch. I was going Mach 1.05 in a head-on, and I still had enough time to go ahead and 90 degree chaff that incoming Sparrow and live to fight another day. Now I just go ahead and play around and try to shoot him right here, but in a real battle, I would probably be going after another target at this point, or something like that. You really don't want to be 180 for people, but you know, this is a custom. So bottom line is, just do not take head-ons that you don't have the advantage in, because if you do, the best that can happen is trade, or worst case scenario, of course, you die and they don't. But the thing about the 27 ER is that you always could give yourself the advantage. If not, you don't have to die. Whereas the Sparrows, if they want to engage you, they have to risk taking a 27 ER every single time. And their whole don't shoot unless you have the advantage thing becomes a whole lot more important when they have the slower missile. So this scenario here is a little bit more like real ARB. I've got a target off in front of me and I have a Phoenix off to my left. How would I know that this is a Phoenix in real ARB? Well, it's because I did not get an RWR notification until it was already that close to me. So I know I can simply roll out of the way like we talked about in the beginning of the video once it's close enough, and my 27 ER wins that joust against that AIM-7M every single time. I'm going to go ahead and recommit now onto the F-14. He's only carrying Phoenixes. Again, this is one of those kind of weird just playing around at the end of the clip type thing. But, you know, I could have died there if I stuck that like I did. I don't recommend you do that in a real battle. But one more time here, we're going to show the joust between the 27 ER and the AIM-7M, as well as at some point I'm going to have a Phoenix launched at me here. I see the incoming 7M. I know that my missile is launched with more than enough time to hit him before his hits me, and now I have to deal with the Phoenix off to my left. And I do that by simply pulling in once it's about 4 kilometers away from me. And again, that's going to work every single time. The Phoenix is the only radar missile in the game right now that you can honestly just evade with your eyes closed. If you're too high altitude and you're low IAS because the air is so thin and you can't maneuver that well, sure, the Phoenix might kill you, but that's your problem for going that high in the first place when you don't need to. So what about 7Ms? What do you do if you have multiple Sparrows being launched at you? Well, I'm going to show you. We're going to do what we were talking about with the recommitting earlier on. If they launch their missile first, you're not going to win it. So what do? I trash the 2 incoming missiles, I recommit, I know that the 27ER is always going to beat the 7M in this kind of a situation, and that's why I create this kind of a situation. I kill the F-14 first, it trashes his incoming Sparrow, and then I notch/chaff the next incoming Sparrow, just like I did at the beginning of the clip. I get within range to shoot my own missile with that recommit there, and my buddy there didn't know that he could actually kill me, so we do it one more time, and I tell him that you're trying to kill me, you're just not allowed to, 90-degree and chaff, because literally anybody can do that, and that's not what this is trying to demonstrate. So one more time here, we're going to take on 2 Sparrows at one time, and again, I've got my 27ER off before my target that I have locked had his Sparrow off, so I know that I win this joust every single time. Just to make sure, we once again decrease throttle, pop the air brake, slow ourselves down, and once he's dead, his missile is also dead. Now all I have to deal with is that second Sparrow, and since I did not get mine off in time, I'm not going to take the head on. I'm going to trash the incoming missile by going 90 degrees with chaffing, and now we basically reset the joust on more equal terms, and since we've done that, the 27ER is going to win every single time. So I hope some of these clips helped to demonstrate or maybe change your mind about the lethality of the 27ER in, these BVR head-on jousting type engagements, because I genuinely think that this is without a doubt the best radar missile in the game, and I hope that these clips also kind of prove to you that the maximum range of your radar missile is not that relevant if your target knows what they're doing. Now, my targets could have just went 90 degrees and chaffed my missiles as well. Fair enough, and what would happen at that point is neither of us kill each other, and against 2 good players, that's probably what it's going to look like. But in normal air RB, that's probably not what's going to happen. They're probably just going to continue flying straight towards your missile, and since you have the better one, you win. This clip here, we're kind of putting into practice in a real match, everything else demonstrating in a custom. I had somebody locked up there with my ER, I saw an incoming Phoenix off to my left, I did not panic, I simply rolled out of the way of the Phoenix while keeping lock with the 27ER, and then I actually get to go ahead and recommit to the F-14 and kill him with the 27ER as well after. But did you notice at the beginning of the clip how I launched that first 27ER? Yeah, I was kind of in TWS, wasn't I? That's something very interesting and slimy about this 27ER, is that this missile actually works in TWS. What you do is you lock somebody up in pulse Doppler, then you turn your missile on, you unlock them from pulse Doppler, switch to TWS, and now the missile, since the seeker was already on, can track the target with TWS. The only caveat here is that once it's about to hit the target, whenever you judge that the missile is close to the target on TWS there, you need to go ahead and hard lock it, like I do right here. I went ahead and let the 27ER fly to the target as long as I thought I could get away with in the TWS mode, so that F-14 wasn't getting RWR until I had hard locked him. Unfortunately, somebody else gets to him first, but I think that clip, because I had that missile tracking camera, is good at demonstrating how the 27ER can be extra lethal in this regard with the TWS. I do the exact same thing here. I go ahead and lock him up in pulse Doppler, I turn the missile seeker on, I unlock the target, and then I switch to TWS. I now select my target with the TWS radar without actually hard locking him, and once I've thought that the 27ER has glided far enough toward the target, I'm kind of cheating, you could say, by using tracking camera, but it's not against the rules. Then I'm going to go ahead and hard lock him. Just now, he's finally getting an RWR warning. He's thinking that there can't be a missile that close, but there is, and it's right on top of him before he can even make any kind of evasive maneuvers. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope you enjoy your MiG-29 a little bit more now, and I will see you next time.